there are plenty of examples of countries and empires that have risen and fallen. And my perception, at least, is often it's because of their fiscal policies. You know, you had the British Empire for centuries, you had the Dutch Empire, and they're gone. I'm concerned this could happen to America. And so what have any of you looked at history and tried to extrapolate like where we are and where we're headed if we don't change course? I mean, Mr. Lynn, and you obviously aren't as concerned, but I'd be interested in hearing from the two of you as well.
So, Congressman, my read of the literature on the 90% figure is that countries have not had financial crises, debt crises below 90% of GDP, debt to GDP ratios, that they have all occurred above 90. Now, it does not mean that once you hit 90, you hit a debt crisis. It just says that's where they happen. Japan's been above 200% for a while, but Japan has a much higher savings rate. Now, the US has the world's reserve currency, which means that our threshold is going to be higher. The challenge that we have is that we don't know where the threshold is, and it will be a moment, it'll be a crisis of confidence moment, and you don't know what's going to spark that. I testified a couple of months ago with a former Treasury colleague who now runs the Penn Wharton budget model. And his testimony was that we don't know when, but 20 years from now, there will be no interest rate that will clear the Treasury bond market. At the best, 20 years from now. I don't want to find out what that looks like, and that means we need to get our fiscal house in order today.
If I can just add one point, one of the risks is that we might end up in a scenario where we have what's so-called fiscal dominance, where the Federal Reserve no longer makes policy based on containing inflation, but on the basis of supporting the Treasury in continuing to finance government spending should it become difficult to borrow from bond markets. And there what you're looking at is we had a fairly recent experience with that, very high rates of inflation, recurring bouts of inflation, which create uncertainty in the market and cause a lot of harm and pain for exactly the types of populations that can bear that risk the least, which is why I think that it's very encouraging that Congress is advancing the idea of a fiscal commission to have those discussions before a fiscal crisis or another unexpected calamity forces legislators' hands.